everybody, it's Kimberly here, and I'm just taking a few minutes to make a really quick video for you about something I've recently discovered, and it's so making such a big difference in my own experience that I just felt like I really needed to share it. So I have some people who I'm acquainted with they're twin flames. It's a small group of three twin flames and another light worker who are currently have been in the process of creating a website that they have some things that they've shared on it that really resonated with me. And I think it's probably because in my own experience, I also have known from the beginning of my twin flame journey that there's a significant past life story that is the most, I guess, the most prominent as far as everything in my experience and journey in respect to my twin flame is mirroring this story. And this story is something that comes to me in pieces, usually as I'm going through a process of, discovering certain blocks, and then I realize, oh, it's like this, and then I just have more things that come to me about the story. And I'm not saying the names of who these people are, because they're starting a website as a resource for all of us in the twin flame community, but they were guided to keep it anonymous. So they say their guides just tell them it's about the story, and that's why it's not supposed to be about them. But it is a beautiful resource, and like I was saying, in my experiences, because I know that I use my own knowledge of a past life story that comes to me in bits and pieces as being it's been very key in helping me resolve certain patterns and discover, oh, that's why this is happening in my life now, or these certain patterns, because in our past life, we were doing these certain things. So what they discovered was that each of us as twin flames have at least one major story that we took on as a something that we literally came to heal, that's in the collective psyche of the entire world. These might be regional stories, like different cultures have different really tragic love stories, or they might be ones that are in well-known literature, like Romeo and Juliet, or the list goes on and on. All of these really tragic star-crossed lover stories where it's not like the fairy tales. The fairy tales are, they always end up facing all of these struggles, but then they end up, in spite of all the struggles, coming together and living happily ever after. And, people always have this like, well, that's just a fairy tale. It's a fairy tale ending. That'll never happen. And what really we resonate with more on the collective level in regard to love is the stories that ended up really tragically. Like, love doesn't work out. True love hurts. In the end, you never can really have it, or you can never really find it, or if you do, then it's not something you can experience forever, So when I found out about this project that they're doing through this website, and it's called 1111ignite.us, and I'll put a link to this website in the comments below, so you can go and take a look at it. But in this site, their hypothesis is that we all have these stories, and that by finding out which story each person in their twin flame journey resonates with the most, we can actually use these stories to identify repeating karmic patterns that are creating blocks for us, and then utilize that to undo it. And it makes total sense to me, because I read the book Many Lives, Many Masters, and from that, it's a very thorough process of past life hypnosis being a way for people to heal. And in that book, the psychologist discovered that simply by remembering the past life, that the person would be healed from would provide healing simply by remembering. And so it was kind of similar in my situation, that when I would have certain things come to me about my past life story, then I would recognize that, and then be able to look at it from a different angle and release it and let it go, in a sense that maybe at one point I used to blame myself or my twin for something, or whatever, but really it was a misunderstanding. And by understanding what really happened in the story from from this different perspective that we have, like now from the outside looking into it, then we can actually change your thinking, change your life. And so just simply by the act of remembering. Now, most of us, first of all, it can be very costly to go in there and do a lot of hypnosis and in order to try to find all the details to the story. But it so far, it seems like it's really ringing true to the people who are involved with this, because as they've been developing this website, they were connecting with different twin flames, and everybody's like, yeah, I just have this deep knowing that either this is my particular story, I've already really resonate with this story, or now that you speak about it, I realize I resonate with this story, or know that I've had a past life at a certain point. Or they might just say, it just sounds right, and then go through the process of discovering what that story is, and then using it to unravel their situation in order to break karmic patterns. So I was really fascinated by this because at the very same time that I was learning about this project that they were putting together, I had just been reading a story to my daughter in which it's a different book altogether, but in it was referenced this very famous, legendary kind of love story, tragic love story. And as I was reading it to her, I was getting goosebumps from head to toe every time the name of this story was referenced. And I was like, why am I getting a hit on this particular story? It's so strange. So afterward, I decided to look it up. I was being prompted and guided to look it up, and I looked up this story. And even though it was one that's famous and I've heard about before, and I knew some of the general idea of it, it wasn't one that I had, knew enough of the details on it to really realize. And that as I read it, the very first aspect of the story that I read, it was like word for word the past life story that I've known is, what I'm working through this in this lifetime with me and my twin. And my jaw, fell open, because right at the very time, when we're discovering from these other twin flame friends of mine that the past life stories are really significant, and finding your story is significant, and I couldn't believe it. So in order to kind of put their theory to a test, I utilized that story it's just been over the last week. I utilized that particular story as in taking it, even though it's a legendary story, taking it as my own. And in it, when I had something come up for me that I was recognizing as a block, or some kind of repeating pattern in my life in regard to my twin, that I would analyze it through the story, and then say, okay, if that was the situation for them, then how do you undo that? What would be the approach to fixing it? And I had incredible breakthroughs in just that short time. Like I said, it's just been about a week. So in my own experience, this already is resonating and really ringing true. And so I just wanted to post to you guys, first of all, to go ahead and check out their website, and then get engaged with it, because there's some really other extremely interesting and exciting things they're doing in creating connections between the twin flames and across the world. They created a grid, energetic grid that they're giving everyone a way to get involved in, and also with this stories that they're using, encouraging people to find their story in order to find the patterns and heal your story is kind of the theme, is an opportunity for us all to rewrite our stories and then post them in the form of Reddit. And I don't know if you guys are familiar. I've heard of Reddit before, and I hadn't really used it, but it's kind of like a combination between a forum and a bulletin board. And so there's going to be a place that, once you go through the process of discovering your story, that you rewrite it. And of course, these are going to have cheesy endings. It's rewrite Romeo and Juliet, or whatever tragic love story you feel that you had a past life that mirrored that love story, that you rewrite the ending, give it a really cheesy, and they lived happily ever after kind of ending. But by publishing it in a public place, that it actually is an opportunity to heal the collective. And we understand as twin flames that we came here to, bring down unconditional love and to heal the psyche, or the collective mindset, which is that love doesn't work, and that, as I was saying earlier. And so, as we all know, that words carry energy, and by literally getting our voice out there in rewriting these stories, and whether anybody ends up landing on them and reading them or not, it's still out there. I can also kind of see a scenario where if we've published all these cheesy endings to tragic love stories on Reddit, and then some high school kid is doing a research project about Romeo and Juliet or whatever, and they land on our stories, even though they read through it, they might think it's kind of cheesy. It planted in their mind the seed of, like, that's not the way it has to end. So we don't have to keep on repeating that pattern in our lives and in our love stories. And then I actually wouldn't be surprised if this really begins to catch on in a bigger sense, that as we as twin flames begin using these stories to heal our repeating karmic patterns that are keeping us blocked from coming together with our twins, that then it helps us actually rewrite the story physically, and then we're going to have stories to publish of real true life stories, the real life Romeo and Juliet that ended differently, or like one of the really most sad stories I think that I've ever read, that just has such a kind of an awful story overall, is one by I think it's Emily Bronte, which is Wuthering Heights. And in that book, like, the whole entire second half of the book is like this, because these two characters didn't end up choosing, Catherine didn't choose Heathcliff, and she ended up marrying someone else, and they were the true love. Then he ends up spending the rest of his life just determined to get vengeance and revenge on all of the people in his life who had treated him wrongly through that situation. And to rewrite a story like that, how powerful. So I'm super excited to see what happens with this. I highly recommend you go over there. There is a small fee to log or to register for the website, but what they're doing is giving everybody free codes to do that, because what they're wanting to do is just get as many people involved as possible. The small fee is more just to I guess have a chance, in a sense, to get other twin flame people, teachers like myself, to refer others, to refer people in the twin flame community to their site, and getting as many people involved as possible. So giving this code away. So check out the link to the website with the free code below. That'll be in the comments here. And if you end up going over there and liking it, share with others in the twin flame community, because it sounds to me like the kind of thing that will really help ignite all of us, not only in our process of union, but igniting mission. I know that for myself, in my own personal mission, which I've talked about it before, that I have several twin flame people who are working in mission with me, and it's made a really big impact on even our own personal lives, in the fact that we have each other to talk to, connect with. And so I do think that there's definitely some relevance in helping connect twin flames with each other as they begin to work on mission in some ways. So this 1111ignite.us could be a tool for helping you connect to other twins on the journey, and the main thing is just this healing your story. So go ahead and check it out, and let me know what you think, and we'll talk to you all later. Thanks. Bye.